Today we're getting serious about vibe coding. We're going to set up Cursor and Claude Code, which is kind of the elite professional level AI developer tool set for vibe coding. Hey, I'm Craig Hewitt. Welcome back to 100 Days of AI. Let's dig in and figure out what the heck Cursor is, what the heck Claude Code is, how they work together, why you should care, and how you can use them in developing custom software, whether that's for yourself, inside your company, or to sell for customers, right? Okay, so here at cursor.com, Cursor is an IDE, integrated development environment. It is a piece of software that lives on your computer where you write and manage code. So we're gonna write all of our code in Cursor with the help of Claude Code. Claude Code is free or included with Claude at the base plan, or you can get the $100 a month or $200 a month max 5x or max 20x plan. These are definitely only for elite full-time developers, I would say. For us as hobbyists, I am on the plan that integrates just with my regular old Claude plan, okay? And Claude Code lives in the terminal. Terminal is really scary speak for kind of that base layer stuff that happens in a computer. Okay, so here I am in my terminal, and this is where all the base level computer stuff lives. And so if I'm in here in my terminal, I type ls, it just gives me a list of all the folders in my computer at this kind of user level. And if I pull up on a Mac Finder, you'll see this looks a lot like that, right? So I'm at the Craig Hewitt level, and I have applications and dev and all this kind of stuff. Cool, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the coding folder. And so we're gonna say cd coding. Cool, and then we'll hit ls again to see all of the stuff that I've created with Cursor and with Claude. Okay, so that's kind of all we need to know about the terminal for now. We'll minimize this and get this scary thing out of our way. And let's talk about how to set up Cursor and how to set up Claude Code. So for Cursor, you just hit the download button, downloads to your machine. I already have it on my machine, so I'm gonna pull it up and you can see it here. So big scary thing with a lot of information here, and we're just gonna disregard all of this for now. And let's just kind of orient on the 3 or 4 areas inside this we need to worry about, right? So on the left here, we have all of the files and all of the code in the files that run the application that we're talking about. You don't need to know what this is right now, but you just need to know that's kind of this is where files live. This is where the contents of the files will show, and you'll have tabs here. On the right-hand side, inside Cursor, right? Cursor is an integrated development environment. It is a place that you can talk to Cursor's own agent. And so Cursor is an agent, or is an integrated development environment with an agent that it talks to. And you can talk to Claude Sonnet and OpenAI's GPT-5. You can talk to all these kind of different models, right? We're gonna use Claude Code inside Cursor. So it's kind of a double whammy here. So we're basically not gonna use this because we're gonna replace this with Claude Code. And so if I go down here in the terminal, so these are the 4 areas, right? So you have the sidebar, which is your files, the contents of the files here in the middle. The right side is the agent. So if you don't want to use Claude Code and you're like, hey, Cursor by itself is fine, then you would chat with your code over here, okay? But we're going to use Claude Code to chat with our code inside Cursor. So Cursor kind of the wrapper and the tool. Claude Code is the thing that does the coding and helps us make decisions. So here we can see the terminal looks a lot like the other terminal, and we're just going to start the very base, right? So this is at the base level. And you can say ls to list out all the folders again. And we're gonna cd, change directory, into the coding directory. Okay, cool. And now, if you don't have Claude installed already, from the website, you can just run this and just copy this and install it. So I'll pull the terminal back up and I would just paste this in. I already have it installed, and so it's probably gonna tell me, hey, this is already installed. You don't need to do this. Okay, so that's all done. So we're all set. Now let's go back to Cursor and just double check that it's connected here, and we'll do Claude-V just to check the version. Okay, so version 2.0.8 of Claude Code. Cool, so that is the most recent as of today. So that's fantastic. So now all we have to do is just run. Okay, so now let's navigate into this project, which is called My Founder Pal. And let's just start Claude by using the command Claude. Okay, so we have some stuff here. Let's make this bigger so we can see. Okay, so welcome back, version 2.0.8, tips for getting started, run /init to create a claude.md file with instructions for Claude. Cool, let's do that now. So if you hit /, which is this one on your computer, right next to shift on the Mac keyboard, then you get a list of all the commands that Claude Code can run. So add directory, agents, bashes, clear, so clear the context or the chat that you're having with it. Compact, make the chat and the conversation smaller, like less context window, because remember, you're sending these as like tokens and messages to the AI. Every time you do that with a huge amount of information, it costs a lot of tokens. You'll run into your limits a lot. So you have to be kind of conscious of that. I can configure the theme, like how this looks. Visualize current context usage as a colored grid. Cool. Cost, show the total cost and duration of the current session. Doctor, diagnose and verify your Claude Code installation settings. Exit, export feedback. Okay, cool. So we're going to run init, which is going to tell Claude Code to look at our entire code base here and create this claude.md file, which kind of tells it generally what this application does. So we're going to do that now. /init. So it's clauding, it's going away. It always has a different term here. It's going away. It's looking at all the stuff that it does here, and it's going to create this claude.md file, and we're going to take a look at it to see what it's all about. Okay. So this is probably going to take a few minutes, and we'll find the claude.md folder over here. So we'll collapse these branches or these folders just to make sure we can see better. And it's going to create the claude.md file over here. So while that's working, I just want to show you this. This is the plan.md file. This is another kind of best practice, is like when you're starting a vibe coding project, you want to have a pretty comprehensive plan to give the AI to say like, hey, this is what we're going to build. And so Founder Pal is a founder accountability tool designed to help entrepreneurs stay focused and accountable to reach their biggest goals. So this is what we're building. We're building a thing where you can come, and you can do this here in a few weeks. I'll put a sign up link in the description below. You'll be able to come, put your email in. I'll ask you every Monday for the 3 biggest things you want to get done this week. And then on Friday, I'll say, hey, how did you do? And we'll give you some coaching along the way. Cool. Okay, so the claude.md file is done here. And what happened? So on the left, this is what's called a diff or a differential. It shows you the old version of this file and the new version. And the old version is always in red. These are typically things that are removed. And the new version's on the right. So you can see, hey, this is the claude.md file. This tells you all about the stuff that we're doing in this file. And so this is like context. Context engineering is like providing the AI with all the information it needs to do its job well. This is a concise way for the AI, Claude Code in this case, and Claude Sonnet 4.5 to understand what's going on here. So we don't have to put all of this stuff in every time we want to do something. Okay, and so now Claude Code is asking us down here, do you want to make this edit to claude.md? So do I agree with all this? And I'm just going to say yes and just hit enter here. Cool. So I wrote claude.md, I added 190 lines, and that is done. Okay. So congratulations. You have just tackled several really scary things in like the coding world if you're not a developer. You downloaded an IDE, an integrated development environment. You installed and launched Claude Code in the terminal. And now you're operating and interacting with Claude Code to make changes to the code in your application. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so now let's run this program and kind of just see what it looks like. And this is maybe the biggest difference between integrated vibe coding platforms like Replit or Google Opal or Firebase Studio or V0 or any of those where you see and do all at the same time. Here, like we're on just our local machine. I want to run the application and I'll go and simulate that in the browser. So let's just do that. Say, hey, I don't know how to run this, like run it and let's kind of see this in the browser. And so just like a lot of AI stuff, just speak to it normally and it's going to do all the stuff that it should do here. So it's asking to run this bash command to install some dependencies. Yep, I like that. So dependencies are like add-ons to code that helped it do other stuff. Okay, so I'm getting an error here, .env, no such file or directory. So it's creating this env file. So an env file is an environments file that has all the information about kind of like API keys and secrets and stuff that you don't want out there on the internet for folks to be able to see. And so it's asking me again, do you want to make this edit to the .env file because one didn't exist before? And I'll say, yes, please. Cool. So it's created this env file now, which is awesome. Postgres, yep. So we need to create a database. That's fine. So we ran the command to create a database, which is great. So now bash command source bin.activate and create app print Flask app created successfully. Okay, so this is just kind of setup stuff. And I know just from knowing a little bit of Python code that this is like a virtual environment. What a virtual environment is one of the big things. And I'm not a developer, but I run a SaaS company, a software company, and so I talk to developers a lot. And one of the biggest things that they have to get over is like, hey, the environment, the exact machinery that I'm using to develop this code needs to be the exact same as when I deploy this onto something like AWS or whatever, right? Like when I make this and when it runs for customers to see it needs to be exactly the same so everything behaves the same way. And you use a virtual environment to simulate what a server in the cloud will look like. And that's what we're doing here. And so I'll just say yes. Create that virtual environment so that the way that I'm working on my code here is exactly the same as it would be in AWS or DigitalOcean or whatever. It seems to be having some trouble with this. I'm just going to keep kind of YOLOing it and hope that it figures it out. I have found coincidentally that getting the environment right is one of the hardest parts of any kind of coding. So if you have several of these kind of iterations like this, don't feel like you're struggling. And if we get too many more, what I'll probably do is copy and paste the errors that I'm seeing here into Claude, not Claude Code, just regular Claude, as just a different kind of sanity check. But we're going to give it a little more time. Okay, so it popped up, Python wants to find devices on my local network. That seems kind of scary, but I'm just going to go for it. Okay, starting Flask development environment. Oh, we're getting close, I think. Okay, so do we have this? So we'll hover over this and hold down Command and click Go. All right, so we got that the requested URL is not found on the server. So cool, what we're gonna do is hit Command-Shift-4 and take a screenshot of this. And then we're gonna go back to Cursor and paste this in. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, so I should have been patient and waited for it. Okay, so it says Flask server is running. Okay, so great. So this is running. This is backend API only. There's no front-end HTML interface yet. The API options are this. Cool. You can test this through curl or Postman, which is like a way to test API calls without an application. Okay, that's fine. Cool. So let's now use Claude Code to just build like a homepage, right? Just like a very basic homepage so that we have something to look at when we go back to the browser here. That is not just this error message. Okay, say... Okay, so create a homepage that collects users' email address for early access, make it minimalistic. Cool, so it should be going off and doing this. It's gonna send all the context from our claude.md file and our plan.md file. So remember it's both of these, right? To Claude, and Sonnet 4.5 is probably the model we're using. Okay, so it's asking us, do we wanna make this directory? So mkdir is, do I wanna make this directory? Yeah, we gotta make this directory so we can do stuff and put files in this directory. So a directory is like a folder. Do I wanna make this folder to put stuff in? Yep, now it's gonna ask, I'm ready to make these changes to this file of like this one web page. Do you want me to do that? And I'll say, yep, cool. So exactly what I said. So it's got index.html here and it was empty before, right? The red. And now it has this very probably basic page. Cool. Do you want to do this? Yes, I want to do this. So it's creating this homepage, and in just a second, it will be done, and we'll be able to reload that page back where we had the error message, and it should look like a landing page. And we'll consider this a huge success because we will have downloaded our IDE. We will have installed Claude Code. We will run Claude Code inside of our IDE, which is Cursor. And we will have made changes to the code base in several places, and we got the application running. Okay, so style.css, right? It was empty before, now it has style. So CSS is just what makes stuff pretty on the internet. And I'm gonna say, yep, I wanna accept that change. And this is going to take just a few minutes. And then there maybe is going to be some JavaScript. So it's kind of the three elements of a web page is HTML, which is like the words and stuff. Yep, I called it. CSS, which is styling, and JavaScript, which is like the things that make web pages do stuff. And if you're a developer, you're cringing right now, but this is not for developers. This is for everyone else out there who's never written code and wants to vibe code their way to creating software. I'm here for you. Okay, so now we're adding a route. A route is how you get like a page to load on a URL, in this case, the home page. And so it looks like it's kind of changed a few here. So it has a main website here, and I'm just going to say, cool, that all looks reasonable. So it's basically saying load that index.html page on the homepage route, which is just like, whatever, myfounderpal.com or whatever it is, right? So that's cool, and that's going there. And it's going to be done here in just a second. Now it needs to tell this to load the route. Yep, good. And so it's like before, you would have had to know how to do all this, and you'd have to type it all out. Oh my gosh, like how painful is this? And now you don't have to do any of that stuff. Cool, we're just more route stuff, and that's all good. Yep, please, I accept. Adding the homepage route to the Flask app, that all makes sense. Restarting the Flask server to apply changes. So it killed the server. I want to restart the virtual environment, right, which is how we simulate doing server type computer on our local machine, and then run the application. So Flask is like a framework for Python applications. And this will take just a second. It's got to get the machine running on my computer. Cool. And this is going. We're going to go back to the browser here and hit refresh. And we win, right? Stay accountable to your biggest goals, weekly goal setting, AI-powered coaching, feedback for founders who want to make consistent process. And it's even got a couple emojis here. Cool. So let's put on our email address and let's see what happens. It probably won't work, right? Okay, so something went wrong. And you know what? We're going to save this for next time. So we want to be able to let people sign up for this. And that's what's going to come in the next video. We're going to add logging the email address to a database. We're going to send a confirmation email. We're going to have a kind of confirmation page that onboards the user. Say, hey, welcome. Tell me a little about yourself and the company. That's going to be in tomorrow's video. Subscribe if you haven't already so you get the next installation of Vibe Coding for non-developers.